Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is our second Empowered Moms ADHD support group, second time meeting, and I'm really excited to start this group and lead this group with other moms. We have Valerie Doherty in the house and Stephanie Saylor. Val, Stephanie, and I are really leading the way in supporting other moms that have kids with ADHD, struggling with ADHD symptoms, anxiety symptoms. And the purpose of this group is to really give power back to the moms. We advocate for our kids, no doubt. We want the best for our kids, but a lot of times we we're kind of led down paths that might not align with how we want to help our kids. And we kind of relinquish that mama bear instinct and, listen to certain professionals. And a lot of times it's not the best solution for our kids, but we do want to help them. And so I created this group. A little bit about me. My name's Colleen Sullivan. I am a mom of two grown children. One is still in college, my daughter, she's a senior in college, and my son is 25. So he is graduated from college, but he's my ADHD kiddo. And he was diagnosed at the young age of 6. And it wasn't until senior year in college where we really got a handle on these ADHD symptoms. ADHD is just a collection of symptoms caused by imbalances in the gut, the brain, the axis, and we'll talk more about that. But it wasn't until a senior year where he really started flourishing and thriving off ADHD meds and on a natural protocol, and really gave him a taste of success without the struggle. And if you think about it, 6 years old to 23, it's a long time for a kid to struggle. And it's really my passion to support other moms that are walking in the same shoes that we walked in and went through all the pain points that you are most likely going through, and really share my experience. Stephanie's going to share her experience, Val, hers with her kids, and really support each other, not only to hear each other, what we're all going through, but to really work together and provide solutions for our kids that work for our kids. So that's just my intro. I'm going to let Stephanie just kind of introduce herself and really just the journey that she's on. We met recently online, just like all of you in the room, and I'm going to have you guys all share if you want. But Stephanie, why don't you just give a little background of where you've been, where you are, and your hope for this group and for your son, really.
Okay. My name is Stephanie, and I am a mom of one. I have a son that just turned 17 and is a junior in high school, and he was diagnosed in the end of second grade with ADHD. And then later in 5th grade, the anxiety diagnosis came. And he just really struggled. He was on medication, of course, put on medication, and struggled with some pretty harsh side effects. So he was on it some, off of it some, just because of the side effects. He wouldn't eat. Had some irregular heart issues where it was rapid heart rate, things of that nature. So he just started talking to me about how he didn't feel like he was himself and really didn't like the side effects that he was experiencing. So he decided this year, at the beginning of school, that he no longer wanted to take medication. So I told him that at that point in time that, we were definitely going to have to search for some natural alternatives for him. And then that's how I came across Colleen. I started searching natural solutions and found Colleen on social media and reached out to her. And we just started the natural protocol in September, and we are starting to see some positive changes with him. So we're excited about that. And so positive changes and no side effects. So what mother wouldn't want that for their child? So,
Right. That
and my goal for this group, being a parent of a child with ADHD and anxiety, has been somewhat of a lonely journey. You just feel like you're the only one out there, and you feel like you're not really represented well and lack guidance in how to help your child, what exactly your child needs once they're diagnosed with it, and what all it involves. And it can be very stressful, not only on the child, but it's stressful for the parent as well. So one of my goals is to just to be available to the mothers that are out there that are receiving this diagnosis or has gone through it, and just let them know they're not alone. There's others out there, and we just want to support them and help guide them.
Absolutely, Stephanie, you brought up a really important point. When way back when my son was 6 years old, I felt there was no real solution, support, guidance. And you feel very isolated. You feel very alone. You feel like hopeless because you're trying all these different solutions. And, for my son, the side effects too were just outweighing the benefits. And I just remember banging my head against the wall, like, how can this be a solution? How can this be the solution that we're given for our kids? When they're not feeling like themselves, they're not eating, they're not sleeping. And yeah. So thank you so much for sharing that. Val.
Hi. So I love to share the story of my two boys. I was very, very fortunate to be introduced to the products and really have a transformation for my own well-being. I had gotten COVID and long hauler COVID, and I was just really struggling. And for the first time ever in my life, I really got to the root cause of what was happening within my own system. So I really, as a mental health counselor and working with children and teens and families for 20 some years, and being in private practice, I've had so many families, really ask me if there are other solutions I didn't know. So my experience led me into really diving into learning about the gut-brain connection and what can I do to better support my own children. So my youngest son, he's 11 now, was diagnosed very early with ADHD. I would probably say, I knew very early, but a true diagnosis, I would say about 4.5, 5. So he's diagnosed with ADHD, dyslexia, and auditory processing disorder. He really struggled. He really struggled with impulsivity. He struggled with his academics, staying on task. Just you name it, he struggled with reading. He always very good at sports, but when that kid would start running, he was running. Like it was, that's just my guy. So it was tough. And I did start him on a stimulant, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. It was definitely a little bit of conflict within our family dynamic because, both of us parents did not agree on starting, but that's all I knew. That's all I learned about in the clinical counseling program, the pharmaceuticals. That's what I knew. After, I would say, a month and a half, having CJ on the products, I started to titrate him down. And by 3 months, he was completely off. And it was just night and day, to the point that the principal called me, the teachers were emailing me. I had other families like, what's going on with CJ? Just totally a different kid. And so he started the stimulant, I would say about 5.5 years old, and it's 11, so probably 8.5, 9 is when we started these regimens. And I cannot tell you, he is just thriving. It's just absolutely amazing. And as a counselor and being in a situation that I give all kinds of academic engagements, here comes somebody down here. So it could be him. Oh, no, it's Brock. A lot of different accommodations, how to support in different settings, whether it's the home setting, the school setting, how, teacher engagement and so on. I feel what other moms say when I connect. I felt like nobody could understand. And it was, I'm putting accommodations for other families and children for homework strategies when I would come home, and it would be painful, like seriously painful, to the point that, I don't want to say I can't help you, but I mentally need a break because it was so tough for him. And he's doing his homework on his own. Like I just want to start breakdancing, because you have like, if anyone's kid has ADHD, you get me, like you totally feel what I'm saying. And it's just amazing. So that's my CJ. He's thriving. He's happy. He's academically, he's gone up 3 grade levels in reading. He read in front of, for about a minute, the end of last year, and up on the stage in front of 100 people, which I literally just started crying, because never in my life, for him to have the confidence to get up to do that, amazing.
Right.
So my Brock is 15. He is ADD and attentive type with anxiety symptoms. And Brock really he did a different stimulant than CJ did. And he was able to stay on task in school, but he was just very flat. He was not like like playing his sports or outside really wanting to engage with his friends. He was okay, I'm doing my work, I'm sitting here. Like his life personality was gone. So started the products a few months. We had stopped with him as well. And I know you're going to talk a little bit more about the products, but we started the fundamentals pack for him. And then from him going from 8th grade into 9th grade, from the pandemic transition from 8th grade to high school, from virtual to in person, he was having significant anxiety. Like it was painful. It was so sad. Every morning, by the time he got to school, he was texting me, calling me, come pick me up, to the point I'm calling the principal there. I'm the guidance counselor. I had to leave work a few times. And then I'm like, okay, here we go. Now we got to start the Saffron, the Kids Mood Plus. And the very morning that we started, that was well over a year ago at this point, he has not called or texted me since. So I'm super excited for my kiddos. So happy. I mean, it makes me just tears, because it's a blessing to really understand the science behind what's happening within our own systems. And that's our story. And I just love to share, and I appreciate people getting on, because I don't want anyone to ever feel alone. And you do, when you're in these situations, and we as moms want to protect and fix. And when we feel stuck because we don't know what to do to help. So that's my story.
Thanks so much, Val. I love hearing your story, because, all our stories resonate. Stephanie's, yours does, Val. You said a couple things, Val, that I just wanted to just reemphasize: the confidence, right? When our kids start feeling like themselves, when they can focus, when they can achieve things without like such the struggle, their confidence just goes, shoots through the roof. And I know over the years of not being able to do certain things and being told over and over again certain things, my son's self-esteem just tanked. And, that was the first thing when you see that light, that little glimmer come back in your child, you're so happy for them, but it's also a mom win, because we want our kids to, achieve things, but we also want them to feel like themselves. We want them to feel happy, confident. And this is not only for school, this is outside in activities. It's my son is out of school now. It's life. He just feels like himself and at his best self in everything that he does. So, and I also want to mention when you were saying you were getting, calls from the principal, calls from the teacher, those were good calls. And we're so used to, our kids are beat down as well, but we're also, as parents, we get these emails and the progress reports. And I remember when I was moving from one house to another, and this was when he was probably in high school or just maybe going into college. And I had to go through all my drawers and, going through papers, and I was going through all the progress reports, and there was a common theme every single year, and it wasn't a positive theme. And if, teachers are writing this down in their reports, imagine what's going through our kids' heads when they're constantly not given positive reinforcement. And I just got chills saying that, because we need to flip that around. And that's why I called this group Empowered Moms. But I see we have Michael on the line, so it's not only for moms. And Kim, you just came on, and I know you're new to the group. Do you have anything to add to the conversation? I know you missed Stephanie's in my intro, but we'd love to hear from your perspective as well. And then we'll just open the lines and share.
Okay, yeah, I apologize. Computer issues.
That's okay.
Person. Well, my story is a little bit different in regards to the fact that I have 5 kids. 3 of them have ADHD. 1 of them has high anxiety with it, which Val just kind of talked about a little bit. And the 2 go hand in hand. And it is gut wrenching to watch your child struggle with that. And we kind of get to the point where we'll do anything to help them. But my story kind of goes back 30 years, right? So my kids are, in their 30s. And back then we had one option, and that option was medication. And as it was told to me at the time, it was because there was a chemical imbalance, and that's what they needed. And so, you don't know what you don't know. So it made sense at that time. However, I started to see things in them that I didn't like. I didn't like that they didn't want to eat, and that they were skinny, and they didn't sleep. And when they took their medicine, they weren't that energetic, fun, creative people who they normally were. So that bothered me. And I started to investigate other ways. And as I did that, I went down some tunnels and I tried to figure it out on my own. And it gets hard, it gets complicated, it gets overwhelming. And the other thing is kids really aren't that compliant, right? Because they're kids. So when you tell them, hey, you can eat this, but you can't eat that, it just doesn't work. So that's kind of our story. We just kind of stuck with what we knew. And then I started to learn about the gut-brain connection. And it was kind of like everything kind of came full circle for us, because I kind of go back to the point. Well, first of all, first point is this. When I learned about the gut-brain connection, I realized that all of those kids had gut issues, and some of them since babies. Right? They had the acid reflux. They were throwing up after they ate. They had the skin issues. They didn't sleep. Their nervous system was like revved up. And all of a sudden that was starting to make sense to me. And then the other aha moment was when we talk about the gut-brain connection, I go back to what the doctors told me back then. And they said there's a chemical imbalance. And it's like, well, they're partly right. That was partly right. The thing that we used to think were brain issues, the new science is starting to show us is actually rooted in our gut and their gut issues. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then to find out there's like plants and herbs and spices and different natural things that can actually go in and heal the gut and help create those neurotransmitters so you can get the connection and the brain and the gut talking was so amazing to me and got me so excited. And I thought, that missing link, it's like I found it. Everything came together. And so, like I said, my kids are older. The one thing I want to encourage all the parents on here that might have younger kids is that your kids will be fine in the real world. They honestly will, because they are these kids have personality plus. Like they have a path that is just designed for them. They just don't fit into the four walls of school very well. And that's where the challenge comes. So, you know, that is something that I always had in my heart that I knew when they were younger. It's just hard when you're struggling taking that painful walk with them. So, anyways, I am really interested in this now because I have 10 grandkids and I have a few of them that are going down that same path. And now that there is a way that I can help them and their parents, my kids, not have to struggle, and can go share this message with other people and be part of a community like you guys, it's hopeful. It's hopeful and it's exciting, and we're mission driven to help other people. And I'm excited to be with you guys.
Awesome. Wow, Kim, thank you so much. You took a lot of the words right out of my mouth. The, you know, missing link. You know, I searched for years because I knew there was a connection between the gut and the brain, but no one was doing anything about it. And granted, it was 15 years ago because my son is 25. And, but I was trying to piecemeal like natural protocols together and really wasn't finding something comprehensive enough. I found a little bit of the gut piece, maybe a little bit of the brain piece, but nothing comprehensive enough that linked the gut to the brain and the communication between them. Because you can have all the neurotransmitters. So now I'm going into a little bit of the science created, which 95% of them are created in the gut, not up in the brain. You know, so a lot of the pharmaceutical meds are trying to kind of create that or treat that chemical imbalance in the brain, but they're missing the target really, because they're created in the gut. And, you know, all of this was just a huge learning curve for me. And that's why we're kind of, you know, supporting other moms. Once you learn about this science of the gut-brain connection, you will never unlearn it, right? Because it really is the missing link for so many things, ADHD, anxiety, you know, how we feel, how we perform. And, you know, before I'm going to share some screens, but I thought I'd open it up to some of our guests on the call, just to see if you wanted to share a little bit, any pain points that you're going through, anything that you resonated with any of the stories. If you wanted to unmute yourself and just chat for a few minutes, feel free to do that. Don't be shy.
We can even ask questions in the chat box as well, if that's easier.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why don't I just share my screen so we can kind of give you just a little bit of about what we're talking about, what we discovered. Let's see. It's going to take me a little bit to work this technology. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah? Thumbs up? Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. So this was a slideshow that I did for a group, a different group. I think it was actually a group for autism parents, because autism, ADHD, we're kind of dealing with the same gut-brain connection. They're kind of the classic gut-brain disruption situations that we're talking about. But the new science is really kind of saying we have a second brain, and it's our gut microbiome. And this gut-brain connection is directly linked to a lot of our ADHD symptoms, our focus, our behavior, our emotional state, and why it's so important that we address these in the gut with specific strains of bacteria that are clinically shown to improve focus, behavior, and mood. And there's simple protocols that we have gotten our kids to take. Stephanie, Val, myself, that lower inflammation, improve sleep, increase stress resilience. And this is Val and her son. This is me, and that's my son. Stephanie, we need to get your picture up here. So this is that idea that I shared earlier, that ADHD is just, it's more than just an inability to focus. It's a collection of symptoms. And these symptoms are really caused by imbalances in the gut-brain connection. And there's something that we can do to help in a natural approach. So this book right here, this mind-gut connection, is really what got me started when I came across this company that was actually doing something about it. The author of this book, Mind-Gut Connection, is Dr. Emran Mayer. And he is kind of the leading expert in the whole gut-brain connection. He is on the scientific advisory board of the mental wellness company, where these protocols are coming from. And he really guides the science with our chief scientist officer, Dr. Sean Talbot. So we are in good hands, really, with the science and the formulations. And this is just, a picture of 95%. So we know that there is a two-way communication from the gut to the brain and the brain to the gut. But 95% of the information, these chemical messengers that we're talking about, flow up from the gut up to the brain. So that's why this targeting the second brain is really the missing link. And so these are, the neurotransmitters that we're talking about: serotonin for our mood states, dopamine for motivation, GABA for calmness, and norepinephrine for focus. And when the gut is in balance, the gut has an imbalance, so it has more bad bacteria than good bacteria, it's going to send bad signals up to the brain. So lack of focus, irritability, sadness, anxiousness. And that's why, the pharmaceuticals are targeting the brain, but the imbalance is really in the gut, right? And this is the whole idea behind the prebiotic and probiotic strains, and why the specificity matters so much. Because if you're just going to the store and you just pick up a probiotic, that has, different strains, a lot of companies don't tell you what strain is in the probiotic. So you might be picking up a probiotic for constipation, for diarrhea, for immune health, when these strains are actually targeting to improve focus, behavior, and mood. So I'm going to talk about these strains, but it's one thing having the good bacteria, but if you don't give it the right food, the right prebiotic fiber, those bacteria strains will just die off. And what we want to do is get those good bacteria flourishing, so they start to starve out the bad guys, and you're going to have more good bacteria than bad bacteria. And we know that a more diverse microbiome is you have a healthier body and you have a healthier brain. That whole mind-body connection. And these are the specific strains that are in this protocol that we are talking about, that our kids are taking. And this is the species of the bacteria, but if you do not have this strain number after them, you don't know what benefits that you're going to get from the probiotic strains. So this R0011 reduces stress by lowering cortisol. It improves GABA, which is your relaxation and calmness. So that's where the stress resilience comes in. The R0175 enhances calmness, decreases anxiety, improves cognitive function. So that the mind body improves mood by decreasing neuroinflammation. So this neuroinflammation is really important, because if you're creating these chemicals in the gut and you have inflammation, they're not going to get up to the brain, right? That leaky gut equals leaky brain. And then these are the prebiotic fibers. And what's really exciting, not only are they helping the good bacteria to flourish, they also have benefits on their own for mind and body benefits. So two of these, there were 2 clinical studies with a group of autistic kids that were given these prebiotic fibers, and they saw a dramatic change in their microbiome, in their and in their behavior. So they saw less gastrointestinal issues. You know, we were all talking about our kids having gut issues, less tension, less irritability, less acting up, less inflammation. And they saw an improvement in their brain performance and their optimization across the gut-brain axis. Everything started working more efficiently, and brought about, you know, the positive change in cognitive function. So this is how these prebiotic fibers are matched up to the probiotics to get that microbiome flourishing. And then there's other ingredients in these products that also help and really are really help with the ADHD symptoms. L-theanine is one. And let me just add, natural ingredients, they also have generic and brand type of ingredients, just like pharmaceuticals do. And if you are getting just a generic brand of a natural ingredient, you really don't know what the efficacy is, the quality, the sourcing. All of the ingredients in these products are brand ingredients that are used in the actual clinical trials. So you know that it's going to have the same efficacy, the same potency, and the same benefits, which was really, really important to me when I started looking at this. So L-theanine has that relaxing and calming amino acid that helps actually shift the brain away from anxiety and tension and towards this state of relaxed alertness. And you often think, well, how can you be relaxed and alert? Like those things just don't sound that they go together. But it's literally putting yourself, if you think of an athlete that's in the zone, that can just, you know, focus and just do their best. That's what this state is. It's this relaxed alertness. And I often talk about it when I teach yoga classes, is to get your body relaxed, your mind, you know, still alert and aware. And that's what we want for our kids. L-glutamine helps with the gut barrier, so you have less leaky gut and less leaky brain. Beta-glucan helps prime the immune system. And the immune system is important because 70% of our immune cells reside in the gut, and it's used to transport these messengers up to the brain. So that's where this whole gut-brain axis comes into play. And then there's a group, a blend of phytobiotics, so the phytonutrients. And I'm going to just mention one is this New Zealand pine bark. Super important. It's actually used in New Zealand as a first-line therapy for ADHD. So that's why we can see such great results with our kiddos, because L-theanine is used as a first-line therapy in Japan. New Zealand pine bark is used as a first-line therapy in New Zealand. And these ingredients are in these products. So they're really, really potent, and they deliver the results that we're looking for. So this is the solution for the kids. It's a complete gut-brain axis nutrition system. So you're going to get all the ingredients that I just talked about. We're going to talk about this kid's mood in a second, the saffron extract, and then a multivitamin that has the phytonutrients blends that I just talked about, including the New Zealand pine bark. So it's more than just a vitamin. And then for adults and teens, we have an equivalent protocol that, gets the gut-brain axis optimized with this coordinated neurotransmitter balance. And I just wanted to kind of, there is an adult MentaFocus product that really kind of supports mental focus, sharpness, creativity, cognitive functioning, and memory. And it's an adult formula, but I do know that some older kids and teens can kind of experiment with half a dose, and then Val, you're shaking your head, right?
Yes. So my guys, sometimes we did look at the weight of a person over 100 pounds. They say often let's try the adult focus. So both of my boys are over 100 pounds, and we did start with the half dose, and now they're both on the full dose, and they've responded very well. And some kids, struggle with just not liking powder, just consistency of a drink. So it really just depends on what is going to be best for your child.
Right. And there is a mood support for adults that it's the most comprehensive mood support. So if you have a child or an adult or teen that has really high anxiety, this mood support is really great. It supports dopamine, serotonin for improved mood and cognitive functioning. And if you think about it, if we lower our kids' anxiety, they're going to be able to focus more. So that's a great one. And this Kids Mood Plus is, to me, it's a game changer. And Val, I know you'll attest to this. And it's not just for kids. My daughter, who's in college, just had an experience through her finals, and she said this product saved the day. Like literally, it got her to be able to focus long enough to study for long periods of time. She took one before each final. It lowered her anxiety levels so much that she can just be in that in the zone, locked in focus mode. And saffron has been shown in clinical trials to be equivalent to Prozac for mood support and Ritalin for focus. So clinical studies showing these ingredients. So I can't say enough about this, and they're probably going to rename it because it's not just for kids. Val, were you going to add something?
I just laugh because, I'm thankful that I tried the product with my son Brock, but after I had COVID really bad, and I typically don't have anxiety, but I have really significant anxiety symptoms. So I did try the Kids Mood Plus. I was on pharmaceuticals and I was not comfortable with that, honestly. So I don't get anxiety all the time, but if I have to get up at work and speak in front of a couple hundred people or have to present something, I do get anxious, and this is my go-to. I mean, every time. So I always have 2 in my bag just in case something. I mean, I deal with a lot of crisis situations. I've got to stay where I need to be, and it works. I mean, within 10 minutes, I'm not kidding you. I feel the difference. So I highly recommend the product for moms, dads, families, everybody.
Yeah. Stephanie, you take one before bowling, right? And then the sleep product. We know that our ADHD kiddos have issues with sleep. I know my son, at one point, this is where I really kind of got angry with the pharmaceutical options, because at one point he was on a med for focus, a med for anxiety, and then, oh, wait, we're going to put you on another med to get your brain to shut off at night and go to sleep. And I was like, this is crazy. So this sleep product actually, and before we did put him on a med to shut his brain off at night, we were trying just the synthetic melatonin, because that's what the doctors tell you to take. And taking a synthetic melatonin actually encourages your body to stop producing melatonin. It's saying, wait a minute, I got you. I'm going to just give you this synthetic version where your body doesn't know how to metabolize it. So sometimes you wake up really groggy the next morning. And that's why it all makes sense. My son had a hard time getting up in the morning when he was on just melatonin. So this product actually encourages your body to produce its own melatonin. It's an adaptogen ingredients that not only help you produce your own melatonin, it helps you produce serotonin during the day. So it can also help with mood. So you're going to have a better day and then a better night, and then that cycle just continues. So this is another one of my family's just must take. And you get this deep sleep. So a lot of times our ADHD kiddos are just getting that light sleep, barely getting enough REM sleep where our brains restore. So this is just a great product. And this, it also has 5-HTP, which is shown to have a positive effect on sleep, mood, and anxiety. And then these are just some real text messages that I've received from other moms about after their kids have started these protocols. And this is really kind of what is so compelling when you get messages like, thanks to Mood Plus, my teenager is more happy than cranky, and we have been able to reduce his anxiety meds significantly for the first time ever. You know, meaningful changes, huge transformation. Thank you. It's changed the tenor of our house. You know, because if one person's struggling, it affects the whole house. It affects the parents. If you have other siblings, it's going to affect the siblings. You know, I'm so thankful for these holistic solutions. No more homework battle. That in itself is just a win, right? No more homework battle. Smiling from ear to ear, did extra reading on his own, no pharmaceuticals, happiest he's ever been. This was my daughter's, you know, she's just a big fan of the kids' mood. She takes the Happy Juice, which is the 3 gut brain products. But she took a kid's mood before one of her speeches in front of a huge room, like you were saying, Val, and it turned her nervous. She was a little bit nervous. She took kids' mood and felt a lot better. It turned my anxious nerves into good nerves and more excitement than anything else. So that's what we want our kids to be. We want them to be present, engaged, focused, but we want them to be happy. And these are some that you know, they're able to wean off the meds, you know, with the doctor's assistance, because he wanted to able to wean off meds. He didn't like the way meds made him feel. He felt numb, and now he feels happy. 9-year-old daughter hates taking her ADHD meds. I don't know one kid that said, you know, I like taking my meds. I haven't met them yet. You know, and I like this. She said, I'm so glad you helped me get this stuff to help her. It's not 100% yet, but it's getting there. And like I said, guys, we're not curing ADHD. We're not treating ADHD. We're reducing the symptoms at the root level. That's what we're doing. We're getting to the root so they can have more focus, so they can be happier, more resilient, have more motivation. So I'm going to just stop there and stop my share. I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of an overview, just so you kind of had an idea of what we're talking with, you know, some of the new people on. Antonetta saying, yes, I feel the same way. Just a wee question for how long this medications can be taking. Is there any rest of the medication and how this affects the child? Are you talking about the natural protocols? How long our kids have been on them?
Okay, sorry. I'm in Scotland. It's 1:20 here. So yes, I need to be up in the morning for work as well. But all this information, honestly, is another completely different view of the way how ADHD has been introduced so far to me. So I decided to stay no matter I need to be up and working in a school in the morning. So because every medication and any illness, whatever you can call, it needs some rest because the body start to get used to this. Is there any rest? That is my question, which need to be done. For how long? How old this affects the child? My boy is 9-year-old and it's just been diagnosed with ADHD. That's why I feel overwhelmed with all the information. I mean, I've been through a lot of stress for a very long period of time and tried to cope with the behavior, emotions, self-esteem, and all has been said here. Try to go on different workshops to gather as much information as much as possible. Try to find a way how to give him strategies to help himself, because my bigger worry is not only now he's in primary school, but in the future. And even now, again, because emotionally he's behind and he cannot read the social cues, etc., etc., etc. So that's put him in a very vulnerable position, people to take advantage, other children advantage, like to dare him to do something or things like that. So I really feel very scared for the future as well. So all this information now as another way to approach ADHD. But again, for how long this medication can work and how does affect the child in the future. I have heard about our second brain, the guts, sometime very long time ago, but I have never explored this information any further, just sometime I did hear about it, but it's not any further information. So this now honestly blew my mind. So yes, if any experience with how long this medication can be taken and how, if you need to stop, or how this affect the child, or if the child need to be under this medication their whole entire life, how this affect the body again, because obviously it's not natural for the body. Again, natural ingredients, I do embrace this because I'm very naturally way orientated person. So for me, nature is the best. But again, for how long?
Yeah, so they are natural ingredients. They're all plant-based ingredients. And, I always tell families to give it at least 90 days for the biochemistry to start shifting. But once you have that balance, you want to maintain that balance, because there's a lot of factors that impact our second brain, our microbiome: stress, diet, toxins. There's a lot of things that can just get it out of balance again. So, I mean, my kids have been taking it for 3 years now, and it's nutrition that our bodies and brains need. That lot of it we cannot get from diet alone. So it kind of fills the gaps of what we're not getting in our diet, that our bodies need to create these neurotransmitters. So it's really an individual choice, like how long you stay on it. But I always kind of give the example of, once you get into shape, if you're going to the gym, you get into shape. It's not like you just stop going to the gym or stop working out, right? You want to maintain your good health. This is the same thing. You want to maintain the balance. You want to maintain the gut-brain optimization. So it's really just giving your body and your brain what it needs to kind of maintain the good health that you want.
Yeah, that's definitely. Thank you very much. It's just, is any side effects?
No side effects except side benefits. I always say they're all side benefits.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
Val, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think I'm just so happy that you're here, and I'm sure you're exhausted. And I think it's just great information to have. And I wish that I had it. I think as a counselor and hearing your son's struggles, that really, it's going to be very challenging and hard for you as mom. And I think you said you work in a school setting, so it sounds like you're around kids, and I totally hear, you with that. I think patience and really understanding when we are going to get to the root cause of the imbalance within ourselves or our own children, we have to have patience with it. And when we have someone who has ADHD and some social struggles, and then we're having sleep issues, so our body is just completely out of whack in a sense. And it's very uncomfortable for us as the parent to be watching our kid go through it. And I always say this to families of parents just like you, that we can't even really imagine what is going on in their little brain, and it's hard. And my story with my son, I knew from a young age, he had academic struggles. He really just was very impulsive. He had a hard time going to sleep at night. He was just ready to rock and roll all day. And when he came home from kindergarten one day and he was crying and he said to me, "Mommy, I'm stupid. I can't read like everybody else." And then at that point, I was kind of getting some pushback from the school that they were really having a hard time keeping him like on task. Well, he's 5.5 years old. You're going to have a hard time. So my thing to them was, I need to make sure my child is safe in your building. And I called the principal and I said to her, I really like her. I have 2 older boys that went through the school, and just said, listen, my only Shane, excuse me for a second, my only expectation from you and the teachers in your building is that my son comes home every day with a smile on his face. At this point right now, the academic piece is literally secondary. I need to build his confidence. I need him to feel good about himself. And he never came home sad again, which was great. But that is around the time that we started the pharmaceuticals. And that was up until 1.5 years at this point ago. And that's when his life has truly, truly changed. And I wish, my schooling at that, when I went to my clinical stuff and all we learned about was pharmaceuticals. I knew nothing about plant-based supports, natural support, and just patience is so important. Know that it's not going to change overnight, but when you start to see that shift, your mind is going to be blown.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Mhm.
And Elsie had like a similar question. How soon does it help? Is it truly instant? You're going to see some instant results with, like, say, the Kids Mood Plus. But the gut brain really needs a little bit of time to kind of shift the biochemistry. So it's really a phased benefit. You'll see some results in the first month, and then more in the second, more in the third. And then, if you continue on, you'll just keep seeing additional benefits. Stephanie's seeing additional benefits with her son, the more he takes it. I just want to
Can I
get
ask-
Oh,
Sorry, can I ask for how long this medication has been on the market? And again, because I'm in Scotland, I don't know if I can have any access to this medication. I have no idea how
yeah, where are you coming in from, Antonetta?
Scotland, sorry. Scotland.
Oh, Scotland. We are coming to Europe soon. It's not available just yet.
Okay.
Yeah. And the company has been formulating the product since 2017. So is this their
Yeah,
fifth?
completely new product. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know
I'm
what?
in the right place in the right time then.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing of it is, even 10 years ago, this science was just coming out. For this company to kind of take the science and really make it into a meaningful formulation that can really change people's lives is just amazing. And that's what made me so exciting, is that they're following the science. There's clinical data. you can't go anywhere anymore without seeing the word microbiome or gut brain axis. And this company is on the forefront of the science, developing products that can really, you know, help our kids and help us as adults. So thank you, Elsie. Awesome. Michael, you have your hand up. Thanks so much for joining.
Hi, yeah, as the only guy in the room, I figure I should probably introduce myself and let you know I'm here. Jennifer Dugan is a friend of mine, and she has been raving about the wonderful work you've been doing. And and she said it really helped her son, and they're actually at a Christmas concert tonight. So, but I thought I really wanted to get the perspective from moms who have ADHD kids, because I was one. And yeah, and you know, back then we didn't really call it that, you know, and then of course after 50 I'd just call it ADD because you lose the H. But but you know, then later on I did learn to focus and deal with it, and I became a professor. And then I had to deal with students coming to me and saying, I have ADHD. Can I have some extra time on the test? Can I? And you know, I said no. And this one mother I talked to, I asked her about it. I said, what do you think? She said, you know, it's been something that he's had to struggle with. And I think, you know, no, I don't think he should get extra time. I think he just needs to, you know, work harder than everybody else. And so this is why one of the reasons I'm really excited about these kinds of, you know, this Amari line and the gut brain bio, you know, the connection and all this. I'm getting the lingo down. Because it just offers tremendous hope for every kid that's been struggling, and I'm just looking forward to staying part of this community and learn more. So thank you very much for everything.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself and saying those kind words. And yeah, that's what we're doing. We're trying to spread the word and educate. I think we have a lot of power with knowledge, and the more knowledgeable we become about the science and the solutions, you know, the more people we can help. So
yeah, and just one final note. You know, I think you guys probably know that your kids are probably more on the brighter side. I think that, you know, maybe God doesn't give something for nothing, but yeah, if anything that can help to get that focus back, if you can do it, you can go far. And you know, I got my PhD. My mentor, we were out running one day. He was 45, I was 30. He says, "Oh my gosh, I just found out something." And now this guy, okay, he's a full professor. He's got 3 patents under his name, right? He worked at MITRE and, you know, did all these amazing things in IT. And he said, God, I just got back from the doctor. He says, the doctor says I have ADHD as an adult. He said, I wish I'd known this. I could have been successful. You know? So, you know, I think that maybe tell your kids, it's like, look, there's hope, and this kind of thing hopefully will work. And really, and I'm sure, and what gets me about it is the science, because I've watched a couple of the other things, and that I think is very compelling. The personal stories are wonderful, but heck, even if it's just a placebo, as long as it's, you know, there's results. So, but the science is very exciting. So, thank you.
awesome. Well, on that note, I think if anyone has any questions, please get back to the person who invited you on this call. If you'd like to get started with any of the protocols, get with the person who invited you to this call. We are excited to have this call, you know, every month. If we have more people joining, we might do it twice a month. But, you know, being part of this mission of sharing and educating and really helping people is really, you know, purposeful and meaningful to me. It kind of gets me up in the morning and gets me excited when I can help families and other kids, you know, just achieve success and be happy and just feel like themselves and do their, you know, just feel and perform their best. in the face of, stress and ADHD and struggles. So I'm going to end on that because now I'm starting to ramble. Anything to close out, Val, Stephanie?
I'm good. Thank you, though.
Okay, thanks so much for joining, everyone. And like I said, just get with the person who invited you, and we'll answer any questions you have. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.